Hey everyone, it's Donna here again, inviting you to today's self-love reunion speaker, and I am super excited. First, I invite you to hit the subscribe button, and just to remind everyone, this self-love reunion was put together because 1 in 2 women across the globe actually have more self-doubt than self-love. This reunion is here to help transform and help people get into that space of deeper self-respect, because love is the most powerful force in existence. I'll see you on the inside. Hello, everyone. It's Donna here again at the Art of Self-Love reunion. And again, we are in store for a beautiful hour with our upcoming guest. And today we are chatting with Maria Figueroa. She's the founder of SamsaraFlow, which is a mindful movement studio offering yoga, Tibetan sound bowl healing, and quantum healing, among many other things. But Maria has also been a passionate Latin dancer, which is part of her cultural background. This led her to get involved in the world of dance fitness and its use of multicultural rhythms and styles, all of which she blends seamlessly into many of her yoga dance classes. Maria has extensive wisdom, and knowledge learning with international trainers in the areas of neuromuscular physiology of stretching, the 7 windows of the soul, and yogic science to break habits and addictive behaviors. She continues to expand her knowledge by exploring different types of physical, emotional, and spiritual expressions on her path to self-development and in order to help her clients. Well, Maria, this is fabulous. Thank you for seeing us actually in your studio. So this is great. There's so much, I'm not even sure where to start. I wanted to get right into the Latin beat with your yoga, but I think we probably might want to start with yoga itself and how this whole thing led you to it. You know, we'll get into all different things, but talk to me about how you first, because we're talking with everyone about self-love and the importance of revitalizing the human spirit. And I found my own journey in my life and many of the speakers that we have with us for this Art of Self-Love reunion, they've all been on their own journey to get to that space and time again. So if you would be so kind as to share part of your own personal journey that led you through self-love and to self-love, that would be great.
Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you so much. I'm so honored that being here with you and having this conversation, and also sharing my experiences with anyone who is going to watch it later.
Good.
Well, I have to get back. It has to do a lot to do with self-love, a lot, because when we get sick, we can be sick physically, emotionally, psychologically, even spiritually, if we are not awake. So in my case, I was physically sick because I didn't know how to care about myself and my emotions. And I became very, very, very sick many years ago, like back 30 years ago. I was going to the doctors here and there, and apparently I didn't have anything. That type of illnesses that that doctors don't know what to do even.
Yeah.
And finally, through all these exams, they said, okay, you're having some gut problems, which is some of the problems that many people has in this world, gut problems, and it has to do with our way of eating, our nutrition, and also with our emotions, just to name a few. And the doctor said, you have to take this medication for the rest of your life, and you have to cut the food that just creates all this discomfort and this pain and all these problems in yourself. And I was at that time, like almost 30 years ago, barely eating almost nothing because everything was too bad for me. So then one day I discovered, through one magazine, I discovered these yoga classes in town. And I said, oh, and I started researching because I heard that, people have been turning into yoga and meditation to help themselves. I said, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm not going to lose anything. So this is going to be my medication.
Right.
So then I registered for the first class. That was a 90 minutes class. I was going at that time, I was running, I was doing weights. I'd have all these muscles in my body. Externally, that was gorgeous, beautiful, but internally I was sick. So then I started doing all this yoga, the first class. I almost died. 90 minutes in a heated room, and I thought, oh my gosh, and I saw, people, that was the time that they were packed, the yoga studios were packed with people, all blend of people, and I was looking at some 60, 65, and 70 years old people doing all these asanas, and I was like, oh my gosh, the postures. I said, oh my gosh, and I was barely kind of, trying to do myself. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, to make this story short, I kept going with my practice. And one day the teacher said, the more you practice, the faster you will see the benefits. And he just ring the bell. I said, okay, so that's the one. So I registered to take classes and to practice every single day.
Right.
I started practicing every single day. And after 6 months of practicing yoga, I have had all my medications. And when I went back to see my doctor for a refill, she said, well, you need a new prescription. I said, no, I don't need a prescription. And I showed her, half of the medication. And she was, so, yeah. And she said, what are you doing? You're not taking anything? I said, no, doctor. I'm just practicing yoga. Right. That was only the time that I was practicing yoga. But, I didn't know much about it. I was just experiencing myself. Mm-hmm. And after that experience, healing myself, I realized, okay, I want to learn this. I really want to learn it because we can help. I can help, my family, friends, people with all this technology. So then I embark in trainings and studying here, studying there with very, very great teachers, from the United States, from here in the region. And so here I am now also teaching and passing all this knowledge because it's an ancient knowledge. It's not just 30 years or 50 years. No, it's ancient knowledge.
It is. And I think you're absolutely right. And I am familiar with yoga, and I certainly do not practice it as faithfully. And of course, there's the triggers going off, which are like, you really should a little bit more. But I do some. I just certainly don't practice it the same way. But I invite anyone else to. And by the time I'm done, I might get right back into my program. My first sort of response to all of this yoga is there's so many different kinds. And when you speak of hot yoga, right away, my body contracts. It does not expand because I've often felt I don't feel the heat. You're Latino, so the heat, it's in you, right? I'm full on Canadian. So the cold, right? I'd probably be better in a cold yoga. But right, we have Kundalini, we have, I don't even know all of them, right? There's all different kinds of it. How does someone, and it's as if it's at times become this exercise, which it is, but there's something I would love to understand more. What is yoga truly about? Right? Mm-hmm. Like we're talking self-love, right? And we're talking about that human spirit, and you beautifully addressed it, but what is yoga for people to truly understand what you're doing, right?
Yeah. And we have to go back, and you have to get back in the past. And it's dated, like 5,000 years ago, when apparently was practiced, and the yogis, the ancient yogis and sages start practicing. And at the beginning, it was not all these asanas and postures. So ultimately, yoga is to create union. And yoga is I can say, like the greatest technology that we can have to create union in ourselves. And is the union with our body, with our psyche, with our mind, with our emotions, with our spirit or soul, and with the rest of the world where we are living. So that's yoga. So it's not only what here in the West we know that is postures or asanas, and because if we go to postures or asanas, we are doing only like physical exercise.
Mhm.
One component is one part what yoga means. So it's to be in all these components, in all that being, which is the wholeness, to create that moment in connection with ourselves, in expansion to this cosmos of this universe, because we are not alone here. We're not the only ones. So that's yoga.
Right. So it's reunion. It is the union, really, right? In many ways. So then, is there? You obviously teach many different styles of yoga, but is there something that would help anyone in our audience who may be new to it? How do you start slowly, and what is something that can really help us to move this energy? Because it's also, part of that union is how do we move everything within us to come into some wholeness that you speak of. So what kind of yoga is your favorite, or what do you teach the most? What can we share about self-love? Because we really want to get into that. If there is one, I mean, I guess there's not, but from your opinion.
That's a good question, Dana. That's a very good question. All of us embrace or approach to yoga for different purposes or different reasons. But ultimately, is what I was saying. We are a wholeness. So, but we approach it from different perspectives. In my case, as you remember, I was physically sick, right? But it has a lot to do with my emotions. Just holding all these emotions that was vibrating very low frequencies. I was holding it in my cells, in myself, in my cells. So when we start practicing and doing all these movements, and I was doing all the other exercises, going to the gym and running and doing all this stuff. But when we connect fully with our physical body, our mind connect into one asana in particular. Let's say we're doing downward dog, which is one of the very warriors per se. We do one warrior, but if we connect in that asana, in that posture, and we concentrate with all parts of our body which are involved in the posture in the asana, we are meditating there. So, and at that moment, when all these practices start healing myself, I felt like I was getting deep into myself, but I didn't know that I was meditating at the same time. Right? It's a sort of meditation. It's a kind of meditation. It's to bring the mind connected to the body. So it's creating that balance. So despite of any practice that we do, as long as we connect mind with the body, so we create that balance and we can go deeper into our higher self. And we feel all this relief, we feel at peace. So it depends, depends on every person. Even if the person wants to embrace or to engage in any practice just for curiosity.
Right.
So people can go into any other practice. People can go into yin asanas. People can go into restorative asanas. People can go into more hatha asanas. But all these other like branches of the yoga, the lineages are coming from the hatha branch, which is the biggest one. Yeah.
Which is that whole breathing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's only that one. And what we have from from the ancient times is these different practices, which is the hatha yoga. It came a bit later, but at the beginning, that was the nad yoga, and the nad yoga was with sound, because that's the first connection with ourselves is sound, everything, and it comes a little bit to engage into our conversation, the sound healing.
Yeah.
So everything vibrates. And sound is the vibration. And when we create sounds, then when we vibrate into the sound, so it affects ourselves, because our body, what we can see physically, is not really itself like matter. So is it just a connection or a blend of neutrons, protons, and that's the cells, and that's energy. So the sound affects the cells, and being affected by the cells at different frequencies, and we vibrate in those frequencies, is when we really are open and connected ourselves and expanded to the cosmos. So the first yoga was, the Nad yoga. So that was the sound. And we can find it even in the sacred text, and from the ancient times. So that's one part of the yoga.
So then I have to keep adding, like I have to start making some connection points here. You were speaking just around earlier, it's us dropping into our body, right? And now as you speak about sound, we're living in this world where we're buzzing out, so to speak, with our technology, right? It's so rapidly available to us, right? And by all means, we need it. There's something so beautiful about technology. But when I look at it, and sort of where I'm taking this is, when you add that vibration plus this vibration of your own wholeness, right? It's finding that resonance. So it's like turn off, almost like to turn down the technology to drop into, right? Yeah, because there's so much that's going on in all of this energy field, and body connection, right? Like truly dropping into this human tactile, as much as, and I fully appreciate the quantum perspective, which we're going to speak about, but it's to help people understand we're forgetting also this tactile essence that we are here, and to drop into it, to silence into it, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So we are so busy in our daily life, and it's when when the mind comes into the role. As we are born, we start getting and growing and being raised by our parents or caregivers, and we start receiving all this information and becoming ingrained in part of this outside world, and we start creating our ego through all that transition. We start forgetting about ourselves. So then we grow and we engage into the daily life. And what is the daily life? Is get up in the morning and and take a shower and drink the coffee and then go to work, or could be going to work outdoors or going to work online. So but embrace, engage in the job, and then have your food, have your dinner. If you are married, you will perhaps take care of your children if you have family, and then again at night everyone is going to bed, go to sleep, and the next day you will repeat the same thing.
Right.
And we do not create that space for ourselves and to be in contemplation, to connect, there is space of a little bit of silence. And that is when the mind needs it. When meditation comes very handy to create that space, because we forgot that our true essence, our true higher self is in that state. So when we engage in meditation, when we engage into these asanas and connect mind and body, we create that space of silence. When we go into sitting position, close the eyes and concentrate in the breath, we create that space for silence. So that, and even even it's sometimes the mind, because we call it the monkey mind in yoga. So the mind, we have like, I don't know, perhaps like 7,000 thoughts in a day. And we have hundreds of thoughts in a minute. So one link to the other. So that's why it's called the monkey mind. So even if we are sitting into meditation, any type of meditation, if the mind comes and goes, that's okay at the beginning. But the more we do it, the better we practice and the better we nourish and cultivate and it becomes slowly more, more quieter and more quieter. And then we create that space for us. So then is when we are cultivating mind.
Mm-hmm.
We're cultivating the body, we're cultivating the mind. And when we cultivate them both, so that we can connect now with the higher self. And now we are in yoga.
Right. There's so many things there, because we think the brain is the mind, which in fact it's not, right? It's very different, but there's that that space of, speaking about meditation. And I know for myself, it took a long time until I really got a regular practice. And I mean, now I do it twice a day for sure, and sit and really carve time out for that. It's to get people into that space. That monkey mind is there. There's going to be days that you're going to drop into something so beautiful so quickly. And the next time you might get one tiny glimpse, and it's okay. Right. So it's taking a little bit of time. I want to weave that back to the yoga, though. When we talk about practicing or somebody practicing yoga, is it something like to truly get some benefit from it? Is it to say, give yourself 10, 15 minutes instead of just, quick downward dogs or whatever, right? Like, I think there's probably a bit of a sweet spot, maybe, that at least to give yourself something to move towards a practice. Is there something there that could be shared?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I teach different lineages. One is the Kundalini yoga practice, the other one is the Hatha yoga practice. So one is the Hatha yoga embrace a lot, the asana, the postures, the physical body. So because ourselves, all of us are made, if I can say it, we are made by three facets, which is the body, the mind, the psyche, and our spirit or soul. So in Hatha yoga, we work, a lot with the physical body through the asanas. We do pranayams, breathing techniques as well. It's the same thing in Kundalini, but Kundalini is a technology well structured and embrace any other aspects as well. And one link of asanas that are very easy and can give us, a strength, gives us a flexibility, and can gives us also a good state of psychological state, mind state, is the sun salutation. So perhaps sun salutation, right? And many people have heard about sun salutation.
Is it too much to ask that you, I apologize. Is it too much to ask that you do one on your mat, or you're not really attired for it?
Yeah.
So
you want me to do like a brief demonstration of that sun salutation?
Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a link.
Definitely explain it a little bit more, but then maybe you can actually just show one. So finish the asana with the sun salutation, and then maybe you can show us.
Yeah. So I will briefly explain about that one. I will do I'm going to start in the. I don't know if you can see me now.
Yeah.
I will stand up because we will start we can stand in different positions, but one will be standing. Okay. So we stand and we inhale, lift the arms up. Then we exhale, we come all the way down. We run the hands and bring one leg back. We lower the knee. We inhale, we lift the arms, we stand it, we exhale. We are moving through the hips. We elongated the torso, working through the spine. We're strengthening the legs. So we come forward. We breathe. We come here, strengthening now here. In this high plank, we strengthen our core. This is a strengthening asana. Strengthen our core, strengthen our legs, and which is very important to keep the spine low. This is through the physical body. So from here, we can go into the basic variation all the way down, and we do cobras. In cobra also, we are working through all the spine. Then we find the downward dog. So we call this one also the triangle. So in downward dog, we are strengthening the body in this position, and we go to the other side to bring the hips down. We inhale, lift the arms up. We elevate, we reach, we stretch, we exhale, strengthening legs, going through the hips again on the other side. We lift the knee, we come forward, and then inhale, we reach it up. We're lifting up, we're stretching again, and exhale. So this is one round.
Right. And I think, you know, I appreciate it. I didn't ask you, hey, will you do some yoga? So you did great. You're doing it to balance out both sides, first of all. So that one round of asanas, or as a sun salutation, excuse me, how many would you do that in a day as somebody that's just learning? It might be one, and that's enough, right? But are you working towards a minimum of something? And again,
well, you know,
a yogi might be different.
but you know, even doing that, the one I did, the sequence I did was only one side of the round, because we go like a clockwise and then we come back, right? That's one cycle. Okay. So for a beginner, you know, doing just 3 cycles of that in the morning, even 3 cycles makes a huge difference in the body, makes a huge difference.
You are literally expanding you're expanding the body, the physical, and then that energy field, right? For those who may only be learning the true essence of an energy field, right? Yeah.
Yes. So we're moving the whole body, we're moving all the energy, the physical energy, and we're going also, we are moving the subtle energy that we cannot see, but there is there. Mm-hmm.
I know for my mother, she's 76 now. She started yoga for the first time. She does it 3 days a week with my sister. Mm-hmm. And not to get off topic, but just lovely to hear her. Oh, I don't know that I'm doing it right, but I'm doing it, so it must be good, right? Like it's that innocence, right? So she's,
you know, I would like to share with you, Donna, the experience with my mother also. My mother is 90 years old.
Okay.
When she came here to visit me, she was the first time, and that was the only time that she could come to visit me. She was 74 years old at that time. And I was doing yoga with her. And she lost weight just doing the practicing, because she became more conscious into her body as well. So that's why, you know, it's not because you do the practice and the asanas just per se, okay, I'm going to check if I have lost weight. No, you become aware. So that's the technology of the yoga. You become aware about your body. Every time you move, you say, oh, I have this muscle here. Oh, I have this pain here. So you start becoming more into your body. And then you learn what your body is for, which is the temple. That's our temple. Right. And then my mom is 90 years old, and she's living in Colombia. She's living in a wheelchair now, unfortunately for her. And she has to wear this oxygen every single day, and she sleeps with an oxygen pump. Okay. Well, I started teaching her online yoga, the chair yoga, you know, yoga in a chair, because she cannot stand up, stuff like that. Only the first class that she did, that was 30 minutes class. Mm-hmm. And all that day, she didn't use the oxygen. All that day.
Yeah. The breath, I mean, that's yoga is about the breath, right? I mean, it's the breath, it's the postures, and it's the sound. So, you know, what I touched on as part of opening and sharing what you do some Tibetan sound bowl, and a little different if people can't come in studio. You're not someone that does it, but maybe just ding it or sort of give a little bit about that sound bowl, just because it is a separate practice, right? People can come for some sound healing in a different regard, but you know, do you use it in amongst yoga perhaps?
Yes.
Right. So maybe just give us a bit about that particular sound bowl. Or
yes, even teaching online my classes as well, I use my singing bowls for the relaxation. When the students go into relaxation, because it's part of the practice, we need to integrate what we have done through the standing postures. So the body, the brain needs to integrate. So I use the singing bowls, and every single bowl has different, creates different frequencies as well. So I'm gonna strike this one.
It's beautiful. Oh, I can feel it. I mean, I feel it. I pick up on it. I listen to lots of different sound frequencies, so
Yeah.
so it's beautiful. And I think for people to know that sound is so key. So you mentioned earlier about Kundalini yoga. So can you maybe talk a little bit about that particular type of yoga? Because I think people hear about Kundalini and maybe don't know how important it is, right? So share a little bit about that particular yoga practice.
Yeah, that's one of the practices I've been teaching lately as well. And I do all these styles myself, because the body, as I said at the beginning, is a compendium of everything. So our physical body, we have the yang tissues and the yin tissues. So as when we do the sun salutation, we do the yang tissues as well, right? It's the muscles. So muscles are very yang. So, but the yin tissues are, ligaments, tendons, and we need different approach. So then we go all the time on the mat. We don't do any standing asanas. We do all the asanas on the floor because we need to relax muscles. So, and that's important to do it as well. So that's the yin and yang.
So yin being very the flow or the feminine.
The yin is more feminine, yes. It's more obscure. You will go into different characteristics. And is more moon. And the yang is more sun, is more powerful. That's the yang.
Right.
And we need them both.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, you need to have that intertwined.
Exactly. To create that balance. Yeah. As the symbol says. So I do practice all of them as well. In Kundalini yoga, I call the Kundalini yoga the full package.
The full package.
Yeah, the full package, like in the technology, it's like the full package. Because Kundalini, if we start from the term the Kundalini, it comes from the term the Kundal. And Kundal is the creative potential that all of us has. We have a creative potential in us, but it's in a dormant state. Because as we said previously, we start growing and we start forgetting, about it. So that's why it's very important when we practice also to embrace the children, into these practices as well. So, and then Kundalini yoga, as a huge technology and great technology, target that creative potential in ourselves to awake and to be more awakened and aware of what is your purpose in your life. Okay. What is the purpose of your physical body? Mm-hmm. Because when we get sick, it's because we don't know, how our body really works. Right. When we are emotionally sick as well, it's because we don't know why we're emotionally sick as well. And so and so and so, all these illnesses that we start accumulating or we created. So Kundalini yoga helps, to target and to pinch all that energy and waking it up. So then when we wake up and we start waking up, or we wake up, so we know, okay, I have to take care of my physical body because that's the only body that I do have. So it's like when you have a car, right? You have a car, so you have to take the car to maintenance, and you have to change the oil, and you have to keep your car, one day perhaps or 2 days just at the garage, and the car is not moving. But we move this vehicle every single day, and we don't do maintenance. So of course it gets tired and gets sick. So then when we practice, we come into realization and we awake. Okay, I have to take care of this vehicle because this is the only one I have where I live here. And what about the soul? What is the soul? If the soul is part of myself, so as I said, it's like my temple. The body is my temple. That's the real temple for me. And if I take care of it, so I have to take care also of my soul. So where my soul is going to live if I don't take care of the body? So there will be no body, right? So then we need to live the experiences here in this planet as an entity that we live here. So we need this body to live the experiences here. So that's what Kundalini Yoga also does, is to create that awareness. And when we awaken, so then we know that we don't put into ourselves all that garbage food, that we are bombarded from the all these industries, the food industry, that then we start being more conscious. Okay, I need to, to eat better. So because my digestive system needs to be nourished. Oh, I need to eat better this because my nervous system needs that. Or I need to eat this other food because my brain needs that. So we become aware how to really take care of ourselves. So that's what Kundalini Yoga, that Kundalini Yoga teaches us here. And it is not new neither. So Kundalini Yoga was practiced in India as well, has been practiced in India for centuries. And it is said that it was only the royal families who were practicing Kundalini Yoga. It was kind of a hidden gem. So because when you awake, you have the power.
Right.
So, and
right. So if
doesn't want you to have the power. So that's the real power, is to be awakened.
And then there's a style to pulling that energy up, right? That people can learn as they would, because it spirals up, right? Like your energy is moving in this circular.
Yeah, it is. When we practice, when I was telling you about the subtle energies, so the subtle energies in yoga are called chakras.
Right.
And depending on the lineage, there are 7 biggest centers of chakras. Those are subtle energies. And in Kundalini Yoga, we talk about the 8 centers of energy, 8 chakras. So, but anyhow, these 7 centers of energy, so are very important to keep them in balance as well. Because when these centers are unbalanced, so we start also being sick. And not only emotionally or psychologically sick, but also physically sick. Because they are not onto our body, but they are like subtly in our body. So they interconnect, intertwine all those energies, because all the cells are, vibrating there, creating all this cold matter, and also these other bodies that we have are intertwining and correlating with the first one, which is the body. So that's why when we start practicing the asanas, so we start also stimulating all these first centers that is called the first triangle. And the first triangle are the first 3 centers of energy, which is the root chakra, and then we have the sexual, and we have also the Muladhara. I'm combining here on the words. So These ones need to be also balanced and rooted because they belong like to the earth where we live. They are so important. They're very important for us to live in this earth here. These ones to be in balance. And then we connect with the heart, which is the door, that the door in between the upper and the lower. So because we were talking about the self-love, so when these ones are balanced also, this one is more balanced, and then we can elevate even higher to the other centers, which are, the throat chakra, which is the sixth chakra, and the seventh chakra, which is the crown chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So in Kundalini Yoga, we talk about the eighth. So the eighth is the aura or the magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it is said in different lineages that I have studied that our aura or our magnetic field as the earth has to be like at least 7 meters.
Okay.
So when, I don't know if it happened to you, Donna, but sometimes you see someone and it's not close to you, it's not closer to your physical body, but if you see someone or you bump into someone that you have never seen and you feel something that you don't know what it is, that's the aura or the magnetic field of the other person and mine. So even if we are not touching each other, so we are already energetically intertwined.
Right.
Yeah. So that's getting back to your question. Yes, through the practice, we stimulate and we balance all the centers of energy. And we need all the centers to be working because one stimulates or affects the next one and the ones beside.
Right. And I know for myself, there have been times where it's the heart though that we're truly working on to calm that heart, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because you're going to share something later, but it's moving it through that channel, right? So it's the fluidity through that channel as well, right? Like you're lighting all that up. And then you speak of the eight, sort of that whole field around you, which bridges into this quantum space, right? So for
Exactly.
people that are learning energy and learning and starting to hear this word around quantum
healing,
Maria, talk a little bit about quantum healing, what that is for people, because we do live and obviously this disruptive year that we've just had, and having it integrate now, this will be a true year of integration in many levels for people. We're understanding energy is all around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We then have this capacity to learn more and more what it truly is. So let's talk around the quantum energy healing, because I think that's what's really new to people.
Yeah. Quantum. We are living in this quantum energy all our lives. And we start from the belief. It has to do a lot with the belief system, right? Where you are growing, what we are surrounded by also. And my belief system is that we are coming from different worlds. We are coming and going also. And we go from one world to the other. Some lineages talk about the dimensions. And also we talk about the past life. So in quantum healing, the technique that I use and the one I work with is to tap in the energies of any person with the permission of that person, to tap in that energy, to harmonize that energy. Because have been talking about all this energy, physically, energetically, and so the energy is in unbalance. So when the energy is unbalanced and creates all these physical illnesses or emotional illnesses, so we need to balance everything, right? And that's what I do with the quantum healing, is to tap into the energy, harmonize that energy, and balance the energy. So we can do it in the present state of life, and also with the permission of the person, we go into the past life to find what's going on, what happened also in some of the past life, because we are like intertwined in different dimensions. So that's the, in short words, what I do.
Yeah. So in short, for people again that are new to quantum and what Maria's speaking of, energy is everything. It's all who we are. There's all these dimensions, and we say that it's you have this identity when you go here, and you become this thing over here, and whatever. But in again, in that clarity that we have, she's asking your higher self, your pure, clear self, for that connection. And for people that find this a strange phenomenon or something they've never heard it, please research. There's so much, and it's proven with science now. And I think there's something so beautiful when we look at, for years, yoga was, that's great, and especially from east to west. And again, I'm using some blanket statements here. However, it was that way, right? Until science in our Western mentality could prove it, it didn't have the same standing in many regards. Well, now science has proven it. And for those that may come across this and you're not familiar, try the Gaia Network. They're basically the Netflix of the new world, shall we say, but the new sciences. And it was certainly very much who I am, and becoming more and learning more who I am. It's in that as we share these conversations and in this awareness that you speak of, we're opening ourselves up to realize it wasn't just what we were taught. Our parents, teachers, whoever, right? Your same grocery store, when you're doing that same thing all the time, and we're not experiencing life or learning and continually learning, that's when we're blocking ourselves off. We often weren't taught emotional intelligence. So that whole yoga practice is bringing you into that connection. And then with this quantum healing, to go right in there and find some of these blockages. So when you're doing that, if I might just expand a little bit, you're asking that permission of the higher self, because your own higher self, you know how to drop into it, right? And as people themselves learn more and more, they can drop into that heart space. It's truly coming from here, right?
Yeah.
So it's what are you clearing? What are you doing? You're talking my heart to your heart. So let's say you're doing something, you're quantum healing me. Yes, you're speaking to me, but energetically, do you see something? Do you feel something? What is?
Yeah, energetically, we work with the chakras, with the chakra system. Mm-hmm. So because that's the subtle energy with the person. So we do a pre-analysis to find out where is the blockages located, and what's going on, what's happened there, and to analyze the causes, what the person has, the chakras, has these blockages in their chakras. So depends what is the person is doing. Perhaps is already engaged into practices and meditations. It can keep clear and moving, excuse me, all these centers of energy. But if the person has not done anything about it, can you imagine how it could be? So then is to tap into those energies, get the information, and then start clearing and balancing the centers of energy. Plus also into this quantum energy, because it's a huge network. It's a huge net there. So we can find many other type of energies. So all sorts of energies from different dimensions as well. So, and those sorts of energy affects ours if we are not in balance. So it's to clear also all those false energies that have been created, all these imbalances in ourselves, and to tap into the energy is to go through different doors to find also what's going on perhaps from the past. So yeah.
So
That answered the question?
It did. I think that you're coming into a space of realigning them, right? To some regard, if I can use that as the word, it's still up to the individual. And I think to be clear for people, you're a healer, but even if somebody's not a healer and they wouldn't use that word, actually you are. You have the capacity to learn all of this. It's new for people to potentially wrap their heads around. It also takes a beautiful commitment to yourself and finding your heart, first of all, which is all about this self-love. And it's not to say to people, oh, we're expecting you to do that. No, the door, it's an invitation should you want to go down that path, right?
Yeah.
We're certainly just on the cusp of understanding we all have that capacity to push into it and say, I'm going to take that quantum leap and I'm going to be there and I'm going to do it. You might be bringing a whole lot more along than you thought for the ride. It's all there for you. It's just catching up with who you really are, right? And I know those words are funny, and certainly I'm going through the process myself in many regards, but I tap into that and I get it. So for people out there, the quantum healing, it's realigning and just opening you to that next deeper space to clear something else, Because as Maria has touched on many times, we're not just this matter, right? We're not this physical form. When we pass on, die, death, whatever word choice you have, your soul continues. And again, if that's a stretch for some, it's okay. This might just be that piece of curiosity for you to go to the next. And none of this is about anyone has to or whatever. It's just it's there, right? And we're in this beautiful space. So
yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to touch on any of that? Because I think it's new. I don't think that, well, it's new and it's not. I just think that it's becoming more aware, certainly here in Canada. Whether that's in all countries, I don't know. I think it's just it's even, I say new.
Yeah, it received different names because it depends on the sources. At the end of the day, we are working with energies.
Right.
So some people work with Reiki, some people work with there are different terms that I have seen.
Sure.
And when I check all of them, so that's more or less what we do.
Right.
Is to realign with the energies, to work with the energies. Yeah.
And exactly. And I'm going to just touch a little clear, which is you're realigning and setting someone else up for, okay, I've given you this opening. It's still up to the individual to move through and carry on their own path and their own choice. It's not for the healer to keep doing the healing. You can continue to do that, but the ultimate healing and taking is when you do the work.
Exactly.
Because you're a clear guide to do that, right? Like you're not the medication, right? You can get rid of all that. We're just shifting some energy. It's up to us to catch up to the energy.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to shift. Yeah, to shift that, and because we are our own healers.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah. So we came in this body with all these tools. It's just we have to pinch, all this dormant state and to become in power of ourselves, our own healers.
And keep waking up.
Yeah.
And I think this is the thing. And there's often we hear these big stretches. Oh, there's infinite possibilities. Absolutely. But you got to wake up to who you are and let connect to your soul, your path instead of everybody else's path, because that's what disperses the energy. And I can speak of this. You can, I've done my own deep healing. And again, we continue, right? So let me ask you to just perhaps leave the audience, anyone that's listening, with one either word or phrase, something that when they leave today or whenever they come upon this, that they can remember right? This yoga concept and self-love. So what can you share just as that end point?
Yeah. So I would say that the yoga starts in our heart, and the connection with our heart expanded towards ourself, connected towards ourself, connected with our higher self, expanded to the others, expanded to the world. So we are love, but we need to tap into that love itself.
So we're going to connect and expand to love. And that's the love who each and every one of you is. So that's beautiful. Thank you. So I'm going to invite everyone in this collection of at-home solutions that we're inviting everyone to take advantage of after our conversations here. Maria is going to be sharing a beautiful heart calming meditation. So I invite you to, you'll get access to that in the at-home collection. So for now, thank you again for being here. Maria, thank you so much. And may you have all the success with SamsaraFlow. It's a beautiful name. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you.